This video is based on official investigation reports and documented evidence. The story you're about to hear represents one of aviation's most preventable tragedies, a case where a known design flaw, corporate negligence, and regulatory failure combined to create the deadliest single aircraft accident of its time. March 3, 1974. Paris-Orly Airport experiences unusual chaos as a British-European Airways strike strands hundreds of passengers across Europe. Among the aircraft pressed into service to handle the overflow is Turkish Airlines Flight 981, a McDonnell Douglas DC-10 bound from Istanbul to London via Paris. What should be a routine stopover becomes a desperate effort to accommodate stranded travelers. The nearly empty DC-10 suddenly fills with 346 souls, passengers who have no idea they're boarding an aircraft with a lethal design flaw that has already caused one near disaster and countless warnings. The McDonnell Douglas DC-10's cargo door design represents a fundamental engineering compromise between convenience and safety. To maximize cargo space, the doors open outward, making them vulnerable to explosive decompression. A complex latching mechanism is supposed to prevent this, but the system has a fatal weakness that its manufacturer knows about but has failed to correct. This is the story of Turkish Airlines Flight 981, how a cargo door that appeared secure was actually a bomb waiting to explode at altitude, and how 346 people paid the ultimate price for a design flaw that should never have left the drawing board. The tragedy of Flight 981 exposes the deadly consequences when corporate profits overshadow passenger safety, and regulatory authorities fail to enforce their own recommendations. The McDonnell Douglas DC-10 represents the pinnacle of 1970s wide-body technology, designed to compete directly with Boeing's 747 and Lockheed's LD-11. Turkish Airlines aircraft. Registration TCJAV is a DC-10 Series 10 delivered in 1972, featuring the latest in aviation engineering and luxury passenger accommodations. However, this particular DC-10 carries a hidden weakness that has already manifested itself in a terrifying near disaster. On June 12, 1972, American Airlines Flight 96, another DC-10, suffered an identical cargo door failure over Windsor, Ontario. The door blew out at 12,000 feet, causing explosive decompression and partial floor collapse. Captain Bryce McCormick and his crew fought desperately to control their crippled aircraft as the floor collapse severed some control cables to the tail. Through extraordinary skill and some measure of luck, they managed an emergency landing in Detroit, saving all 67 people aboard. The NTSB investigation into the Windsor incident identified the exact mechanism of failure. The cargo door's latching system could indicate secure closure when it was actually improperly latched. The investigators issued specific recommendations to fix the design flaw and prevent future occurrences. McDonnell Douglas issued service bulletins describing modifications to address the problem, including installation of additional locking mechanisms and support plates. However, these modifications were not mandated by the FAA, and many DC-10s continued flying with the original flawed design. TCJAV, the aircraft that will become Flight 981, is among those DC-10s that have not received the recommended modifications. The cargo door locking pins have actually been filed down during maintenance to make the door easier to close, a modification that further weakens the already compromised system. Flight 981 operates under the command of Captain Najat Berkut, an experienced Turkish Airlines pilot with extensive international flying experience. His professionalism and competence have made him one of the airline's most trusted captains for European routes. First Officer Oral Ulusman serves as co-pilot, bringing solid experience and knowledge of DC-10 systems. Flight engineer Erhan Ozer completes the cockpit crew, responsible for monitoring the complex systems of the wide-body airliner. The cabin crew consists of experienced flight attendants trained in DC-10 emergency procedures, though none have experienced the type of catastrophic decompression that will soon unfold. Among the 346 souls aboard are diverse groups of international travelers. 6 Japanese bank managers traveling on business occupy seats near the rear of the aircraft. British passengers stranded by the BEA strike fill much of the cabin, grateful to find space on any flight to London. The passenger manifest includes families returning from vacations, business travelers conducting international commerce, and individuals whose lives have intersected with this particular flight through circumstance and coincidence. The Bury St Edmunds rugby team from England attempted to board Flight 981 but were turned away due to lack of space, a rejection that will save their lives. The randomness of who boards and who doesn't adds to the tragedy of what's about to unfold. As passengers settle into their seats for the short flight to London, none can imagine that they're aboard an aircraft whose cargo door is improperly secured, creating a lethal threat that will manifest itself within minutes of takeoff. At Paris-Orly Airport, The turnaround of Flight 981 proceeds under the pressure of accommodating stranded passengers and maintaining schedule adherence. The planned 1-hour stopover extends to 90 minutes as ground crews work to load additional passengers and their luggage. The critical moment occurs when Algerian baggage handler Mohammed Mahmoudi approaches the rear cargo door to secure it after loading operations. Mahmoudi is experienced in basic cargo loading procedures but lacks specific training on the DC-10's complex door mechanism. The cargo door's design requires precise alignment of locking mechanisms to ensure secure closure. A visual inspection window allows ground crew to verify that the locking pins are properly engaged, but Mahmoudi has never been trained on this critical safety check. When Mahmoudi attempts to close the door, he encounters resistance. Rather than investigating the cause, he applies additional force to overcome the difficulty. The door appears to close normally, and the external handle moves to the closed position, giving the appearance of proper securing. Unknown to everyone involved, the door's locking pins are not properly engaged. The mechanism's design flaw allows the door to appear secure while actually being held closed only by the external latches that cannot withstand the pressure differential at cruising altitude. Turkish Airlines has no qualified engineer stationed at Orly Airport for this turnaround, violating their own procedures. The required pre-flight inspection of the cargo door closure is not performed. Warning placards about the door's known problems are written only in English and Turkish, languages that Mahmoudi cannot read. The stage is set for disaster as Flight 981 prepares for departure with a cargo door that appears secure but is actually a catastrophic failure waiting to happen. Before we continue with this tragic sequence of events, we want to thank our viewers who follow through the pilot's eyes. These investigations into design flaws and regulatory failures help us understand how aviation safety has evolved. Your subscriptions help us research these complex technical stories. Flight 981 departs Paris-Orly at 12:32 p.m. local time, bound for London Heathrow with 346 people aboard. The DC-10 climbs normally through French airspace as Captain Burkos follows standard departure procedures, unaware that his aircraft carries a ticking time bomb in its cargo hold. As the aircraft climbs toward its assigned cruising altitude of 23,000 feet, the pressure differential between the pressurized cabin and the outside atmosphere increases steadily. At sea level, there is no pressure difference, but each 1,000 feet of altitude adds to the stress on the improperly secured cargo door. The DC-10's pressurization system maintains a comfortable cabin environment equivalent to 8,000 feet altitude even when flying at 23,000 feet. This requires the cabin pressure to be approximately 5 pounds per square inch higher than the outside air, a difference that exerts tremendous force on every square inch of the aircraft's structure. At 11:39 a.m., just 7 minutes after takeoff, Flight 981 passes through 11,000 feet while flying over the town of Minot, about 31 miles northeast of Paris. The pressure differential has reached approximately 3.7 pounds per square inch, enough force to overcome the inadequately secured door latches. In the cargo hold, the improperly engaged locking mechanism begins to fail under the increasing pressure load. The door, held closed only by external latches never designed to withstand such forces, starts to give way as physics inexorably overcomes the flawed engineering. At 11:39:56 a.m., the inevitable occurs. The mounting pressure differential overwhelms the inadequately secured cargo door latches, and the massive door explodes outward with tremendous violence. The sudden release creates an instantaneous pressure difference of 5.2 pounds per square inch. The floor section above the open cargo door cannot withstand this pressure differential. With a tremendous crash, the cabin floor collapses downward into the cargo hold, creating a gaping hole in the passenger compartment. 2 rows of seats containing 6 Japanese passengers are torn from their mountings and ejected through the cargo door opening. These 6 souls are instantly swept out into the sky, their bodies later found in a turnip field near St. Pathos. The explosive decompression sends debris flying throughout the aircraft. Passenger belongings, seats, and structural components are sucked toward the massive opening as pressurized atmosphere rushes out. In the cockpit, Captain Burkos and his crew hear the tremendous explosion. First Officer Ulusman immediately recognizes the crisis. The fuselage has burst open. The pressurization warning horn sounds as cabin pressure plummets. More catastrophically, the floor collapse severs all control cables running beneath the passenger compartment to the tail surfaces. Unlike the American Airlines incident, Flight 981's more extensive floor failure cuts every cable controlling elevators and rudder. The DC-10 immediately loses all pitch and yaw control as severed cables eliminate the crew's ability to command tail surfaces essential for controlled flight. With control cables severed, Captain Burkos discovers the horrifying reality. They cannot control the aircraft's pitch attitude. The control yoke moves freely in his hands, disconnected from elevator surfaces that govern nose-up or nose-down movement. The aircraft immediately begins a left turn as asymmetric forces from the cargo door opening disturb aerodynamic balance. The nose drops into a steep descent attitude that the crew cannot correct through conventional controls. The number 2 engine, mounted in the tail section, begins losing power as debris from explosive decompression damages its air intake. Engine parameters fluctuate wildly before the power plant starts winding down, eliminating rear thrust. Captain Burkode and First Officer Ulusman attempt to regain control using differential engine thrust from wing-mounted engines. By varying power between left and right engines, they hope to influence flight path, but efforts prove inadequate against severe aerodynamic disruption. The cockpit voice recorder captures desperate attempts to understand their situation. Hydraulics, calls flight engineer Ozer. We lost it. Nothing works, comes the anguished reply as the crew realizes the extent of control loss. The DC-10 continues its uncontrollable descent toward Ermenonville Forest as airspeed builds rapidly. The aircraft's nose-down attitude and increasing velocity make recovery increasingly unlikely. Despite their experience and professionalism, Captain Burkose and his crew face a situation that no amount of training can overcome. An aircraft that has become fundamentally unflyable. As Flight 981 descends uncontrollably toward Ermenonville Forest, the crew makes desperate attempts to find some means of controlling their aircraft. Airspeed continues building as the nose-down attitude steepens, approaching maximum design speeds. Captain Burkose calls out altitude readings. 9,000. The descent rate accelerates as damaged aerodynamics become increasingly unstable. 7,000 feet, shouts First Officer Ulusman as forested terrain rushes up to meet them. The overspeed warning begins sounding as the DC-10 exceeds maximum operating velocity. The combination of steep descent and failed control surfaces creates a flight condition no DC-10 was designed to survive. In the passenger cabin, those who remain aboard experience terror beyond imagination. The gaping hole where floor once existed exposes the cargo hold below, while loose debris continues flying around the depressurized cabin. Flight engineer Ozer makes a final desperate call about hydraulic systems, hoping some control authority might be restored. His instruments show complete failure across all essential systems. At 11:41:13 a.m., just 77 seconds after the cargo door explosion, Flight 981 impacts Ermenonville Forest at approximately 430 miles per hour. The tremendous impact completely destroys the aircraft, breaking it into thousands of pieces. The fuel ignites on impact, creating a massive fireball. All 346 people aboard are killed instantly, marking what was then aviation's deadliest single aircraft accident. The French investigation quickly identifies cargo door failure as the immediate cause, but deeper investigation reveals shocking corporate negligence and regulatory failure that transforms a technical problem into a criminal case. Investigators discover that McDonnell Douglas knew about the cargo door design flaw long before the disaster. Internal documents reveal that engineers had identified potential for catastrophic floor collapse as early as 1969 during DC-10 development. The Windsor incident had provided real-world demonstration of exactly what could happen, yet McDonnell Douglas failed to implement mandatory design changes. Instead, the company issued non-mandatory service bulletins that many airlines never implemented. Most damning, investigators uncover the Applegate Memo, an internal McDonnell Douglas document that explicitly warned of potential catastrophic loss of life if the cargo door problem wasn't fixed. The memo had been ignored by management. The investigation reveals that Turkish Airlines ground crew had filed down the cargo door locking pins, further compromising an already dangerous system. The airline had no qualified engineer at Orly Airport to inspect the critical closure. The baggage handler spoke neither English nor Turkish, preventing him from reading warning placards. No one had trained him to use the inspection window that could have revealed improperly engaged latches. The FAA's role also comes under scrutiny. Despite NTSB recommendations following Windsor, the authority failed to mandate necessary design changes, allowing commercial pressure to override safety. As we conclude this investigation into one of aviation's most preventable tragedies, we thank our viewers who follow through the pilot's eyes. These studies of corporate negligence and regulatory failure help us understand how modern aviation safety standards evolved. Your support allows us to research these important safety lessons. The aftermath of Flight 981 triggers a revolution in aviation safety oversight and corporate accountability. Massive lawsuits against McDonnell Douglas result in settlements totaling over $100 million, establishing legal precedent for manufacturer liability in design defect cases. the FAA finally issues the airworthiness directive that should have been mandated years earlier, grounding all DC-10s until cargo door modifications are completed. The closed-loop locking system ensures that cargo doors cannot appear secure unless they are actually properly latched. The disaster leads to comprehensive changes in aviation regulation. The principle that safety recommendations must be implemented promptly becomes standard practice, preventing future delays that could cost lives. McDonnell Douglas redesigns the cargo door system entirely, adding multiple redundant safety features. Pressure relief vents between cargo holds and passenger cabins prevent catastrophic floor collapse even if doors fail. New inspection procedures and training requirements ensure ground crews understand critical safety systems. The 346 victims of Flight 981 are memorialized at the crash site in Ermenonville Forest, where a granite monument bears their names. Their sacrifice catalyzes safety improvements that protect millions of future passengers. The tragedy becomes a landmark case study in engineering ethics, demonstrating how technical knowledge must be coupled with moral responsibility. The disaster proves that in aviation, corporate profits can never be allowed to override passenger safety. Today's aviation safety culture, built on transparency and immediate action on safety recommendations, stands as the ultimate legacy of those lost in the Ermenonville Forest.